Well, there's two things that are of some concern to me. One is that there is talk about requiring people officially having a PTSD diagnosis in order to receive this treatment. What our study clearly shows is that MDMA does not affect PTSD. In fact, whoever created us did not create us having PTSD. And the PTSD is a function of a committee that puts certain symptoms together. And so confining it to people who get diagnosed officially with PTSD would really be a silly and non-scientific approach. The second thing is that, of course, we cannot require that people have the protocol that we had in our study with having two therapists with you all the time would be too expensive. But having somebody to be with you and help you to process what goes on during the experience is terribly important. There's some voices that say that the psychotherapy aspect may not be necessary. And that is certainly something I would strongly disagree with, in that on MDMA, your trauma does come back. And all kind of stuff that you may not be, that you may have forgotten tends to come up. So they tend to be quite harrowing experiences. And having somebody be with you who really knows you well, who you can trust, is terribly important. And the third issue, which is complicated, is that I think it's important for people who administer psychedelic therapies to be aware personally with what it does to you. That's a little bit, we don't learn how to fly from somebody who is not a pilot. And having psychedelic experiences is really quite a unique experience of seeing yourself disappear in some ways, other parts of you coming up. And I don't think that the therapy should be done by people who don't have personal experience in exploring psychedelic exposure for themselves. So I think that would be a necessary requirement for people to do so. The FDA very reasonably says, how can we require that from people when these drugs are largely illegal up to now? So how can we require that people have taken illegal drugs? And of course you can't. But at the same time, we should really be aware that these treatments should not be administered by people who are not intimately familiar with what these drugs do to your self-experience. Yeah, education, but also really having the experience in the same way that,
of course,
most of us advocate that if you become a therapist, you need to have been in therapy yourself,
right,
and really explore your own world. Same is true for psychedelic agents. You need to really be an expert in it, and you don't become an expert until you really know what it feels like to go through it. Yeah.
Right.
You know, I've done this work now for 50 years.
Yeah.
And I've devoted my career towards exploring treatments, and I found many things that work. But I must say that this is the most revolutionary thing that I've seen happen in psychiatry in the 50 years that I've been part of it.